Good afternoon, everybody. This is Deborah Jones. I'm your Blue Table Talk host, and we have an exciting episode tonight. And I'm so glad to see you guys. So tonight we'll talk to Miss Candace Russell. But before I really introduce her, we know I have to do a little housekeeping. So we what I always talk about is our COVID cases. We have I saw today that we have 396 new cases. So it's really rising. That Delta variant and the COVID itself is rising. So we guys need to take care of ourselves, do the necessary precautions like wear our masks. Now we still need to wear our masks. We still need to wash our hands, keep social distancing, and please, y'all, you guys get the vaccine. If you really want to socialize with everyone, you need to get the vaccine. They have 3 hour, maybe four. They have 3. I know the Johnson, the Pfizer, and the Moderna. They're out there for you to get. So go ahead and get the vaccine so that you can socialize with your family and your friends. We've been in this situation over a year, so it's time for us to get back together and get recognized of a lot of things. So let's go ahead and do what we need to do. um, Southeast Texas has a real rapid case, so this is where we live. So go ahead and if they have an urgent action of telling everybody to get vaccine. So get vaccine, guys. We know the schools get restaurant. BISD wants the ability to mandate masks, but they cannot because of the governor. He doesn't want to mandate. He doesn't want to mandate anything. So he don't want to stop anything. He wants everything to go as is. But in order for us to get ourselves together, we need to have the students wear masks when they go back to school, have the teachers wear the mask when they go back to school, so that we can stay safe and healthy. So, but we strongly encourage your teachers and students to wear the mask, and the students also. The teachers and students, if you have not been vaccinated, you need to also do so too. So, with that being said, tonight we have Candace Russell on tonight, and she's homeschooling her kids. So you know that right this year, um, going back to school is 100% where the students go back in. So as they go back in, there are some parents who said they're not going to let their kids go back anyway. They're going to homeschool their kids. So in order for them to homeschool their children, they have to have the resources. So I have Candace Russell on, and she's going to tell us about her episode, what she does with her children and how she keep her children homeschooled and how long they've been homeschooled and everything. But before we get into all that, I want to welcome Candace Russell. Hey, Candace, how you doing tonight?
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Miss Deborah. Thank you for having
Oh,
me.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Candace, a lot of people don't know who you are. Can you kind of give us a little synopsis of yourself, introduce yourself for us, please?
Okay, I was born and raised in Beaumont, Texas. I attended Central Senior High School. It was not until I attended the University of Houston that I became a permanent resident of Houston, and I've been here ever since. Um, I decided to start homeschooling my kids after my husband and I had our second child. So I taught high school for 9 years. And after that, we decided we wanted a large family. So we just transitioned, and I stayed home with the kids and was looking for something to keep me going in addition to watching the kids. So I started teaching the kids. And I started off at the kitchen table. And then I decided to take it a step further and converted our game room to a classroom. So I've been in my classroom for 9 years, but I've been homeschooling the kids, I'd say, for 10 years. Um,
So you are an educator.
yes, ma'am. I taught public speaking at Barbara Jordan High School for careers.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
ma'am.
How many children do you have, and what are their ages?
I have four children. I started with five because my niece was homeschooled with us. She did homeschooling with us also. So my girls started off, the youngest, which was my niece, she was 13 months at the school table. So we had the ages go up. Um, and she just recently left us. She did come back to us this year when everything was shaken up during COVID. She did
Right.
this the fourth grade year with us, but she's returning back to private school. Nevertheless, they range from 10 to 13. And so the girls are all in fourth grade now, going to fifth. The boys are going to eighth.
So have your children always been homeschooled, or have they gone to public or private school?
Always been homeschool. And once the boys made it to third grade, I enrolled them in CPC, which stands for Christian Perspective classes.
Mm-hmm.
And they go there and they take classes that just really don't interest me as much as I'd like. So they take science and history, classes that I'd really have to do a lot of prepping for. It's already a lot to prep for two different grade levels,
Mm-hmm.
but history and science just are not my favorites. So
Mm-hmm.
I send them off campus for those. So each year we added a class to get them acclimated because I didn't know how long I'd want to homeschool. Actually, I did not really think that I'd make it through middle school
Mm-hmm.
because the boys are going to the eighth grade. We initially said through elementary,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just things just kept happening. We saw the fruits of our labor, and then when COVID hit, we were thanking the Lord that we were already in it, and we really didn't have much to change our routine.
So what initially made you initially decided to homeschool your children?
Because I was bored.
Well,
I
you were
I promise
teaching.
you, I promise you, I did not leave teaching and say I'm going to homeschool my kids. I never thought that. I was just here. I just had the boys, and I was like, I just need something to do. It was just so difficult to entertain some 1 and 2 year olds because they're very close in age. And I'm like, okay, we need to do something. So that's when my aunt Cheryl Chambers, she gave me a lot of resources. And we were at the kitchen table and she just kept giving me stuff. And I was like, oh, this is a lot of stuff. I need to store it now.
Mhm.
So that's how I got started. But I never imagined that I'd be homeschooling my kids.
Cheryl Chambers is an awesome educator.
Yes,
You
she
know,
is.
yeah. We worked together many years ago, and then
Mhm.
but we're great friends. So, but she's an
Mhm.
awesome educator. You know, I
Mhm.
often talk to her about a lot of stuff. You know, but she's awesome. So, how did you become qualified to homeschool your children, or can anyone do it?
I don't think there's a qualification per se, but I think you just find your footing and do what works for you. I've talked to several parents homeschooling because you just never know if you're doing it right, if there is a right or a wrong way. I really don't think there is. And you just want to hear how other people do it. I'm a very structured teacher. So my kids are on a schedule. I've just always been that way. I've talked to parents who just are like, okay, when you get up, Bobby, you have your your work to do. You know what you need to do. Get it done by 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
So it's whatever works for the household, but structure is what works for me.
So,
So
since you're so structured, do you have a Pacific school time, i.e., 9 to 3? Do you give them a playtime? Do you have family time? Is it more flexible?
okay, so there is some flexibility, just a little bit in the structure. So we do wake up every morning at 7 a.m. and I get up, I have breakfast going. I cook them a full breakfast every morning just because I was in education
Hmm.
and hungry students don't learn like full students. Okay, so I give them that good full breakfast
Hmm. Hmm.
and
And
while
brain food.
right, right. So while I'm getting breakfast together, they're getting dressed, and if they make it to the school table before I finish breakfast, they have what they're supposed to start, be it handwriting, whatever seat work they have to do, they know to get into it and get
Mhm.
it started. So we have our breakfast. While I'm cleaning up the dishes, they're back at the table finishing up their morning work, and we start class at 8 a.m. every day.
Mhm.
Class typically ends at noon. And it just, at the beginning of the school year, which is always so stressful for me. I don't know why. I've been every year at the beginning. It takes me about 4 weeks to get my footing. And once I do that, we truly end at noon. But those first few weeks, it can go up until
Yeah.
like 2 or 3.
What,
And that's
what
just me spending a lot of time at the table, making sure that they know what to do and we establish our routines.
Okay, so before I go on, I appreciate you guys coming on the air. You know, being very supportive of Candace. But one thing I need you to do is share. Hit your share button, because sharing is caring. Because we need to let everybody know Candace is here, and we're talking about homeschooling. We know that schools are getting ready to start, and they're looking for 100% of students to come back. But there are some parents who don't want their kids to go back. They want to homeschool. In order for them to homeschool, they got to know all the benefits of it.
Mhm.
And so this is what Candace is here for. So Candace, in your view, what are the benefits of homeschooling and with your children? What are the benefits?
Well, you just get to make sure they get everything you feel they should learn, down to the reading, the writing, the math. You can tailor it specifically to each child because although we're here at the table, the four kids and all four don't learn the same.
Right.
Like, and you have to recognize that each child is different, and
Each-
because it's so intimate, you can approach each child differently and give them those tools that they need to excel once they go into the classroom. So that's definitely the biggest benefit for me. And things that were removed from the curriculum, like the cursive handwriting, I started the kids with the cursive in pre-K 4.
Mhm.
I just, I mean, I learned how to write cursive when I was in elementary. So that's something that I kept up, even though it was removed from some parts of the public curriculum, but I hear now it's back. Um, just traditional learning, because there are a lot of new techniques out there that are really kind of confusing to the kids.
Mhm.
And I feel like if it's not broken, don't fix it,
Right.
to go
Right.
on. So, which is why I stick with the Becca curriculum. That
Right.
is my hands down favorite.
Right. And when you're working with preschool students, first grade, whatever, and then you have your middle school. Now, your first grade students, they're very strategic. They need a little more
Mhm,
than the
mhm,
rest of them, because now
mhm,
they're learning how to write well,
mhm.
they're learning how to read, and so you have that. So you spend more time with them than you do the older children, or what?
So, what I've learned uh, when I started with my boys, because they're the ones that are going to the 8th grade,
Right.
I was a little uptight because it was my first time doing it. Okay. I never taught anyone how to read. Okay. Like,
Mhm.
this is like their future's in my hands. This is what I'm thinking. I have to get this right. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to get this done. And then I realized with the curriculum, if you just follow the curriculum and do what it says, like, it's going to happen. It's
Mhm.
coming. And so I found that with the girls, when they come through, because they're also at the table with the boys, listening in, that it just, like, they just pick up
It comes
fast.
natural.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
comes
faster.
natural.
So,
Right, right. Well,
but
I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go
mm,
ahead.
no,
But
no, it.
okay, someone asked. Let me see. I think I can find it. Let me see. Here she goes. She says, Shalonda Griffin said, "This is awesome. Thank you for sharing." Okay, she said something else about what time. Uh, Let's see if I can. She homeschooled my daughter. Oh, here it is. She says, please ask her what is the schedule? What's your schedule for the kids?
We start class at 8 a.m. and it typically end at noon. Depending on what's going on, the first couple of weeks of school, it can go up to 2, 3.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Um,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Is part of your reason for homeschooling your children is to protect them from the things
Mm-hmm.
that happen in public private school?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I will say that is definitely a benefit. When you asked me that, I did want to touch on that. The children are being exposed to so many things. It's just so different than from when we were in school. I know it gets different. It's different with each generation, but I mean it's very, very different. And you have an opportunity to work with your children. We do our Christian education first. That's how
Mm-hmm.
we start our class. Give them the foundation that you feel is important to be um, a good human being. And you can kind of cut out some of the extra stuff, the distractions. So, I mean, there are countless benefits to it. Of course, when I started homeschooling, I received a lot of, it just, everyone was not on board with it because I was told my children would not know how to socialize with others. They wouldn't know how to interact. They don't have friends. And I just got excuse after excuse after excuse. And the proof is in the pudding, is all I can say.
You just answered two of my questions I was going to ask you anyway about socialization. Well, I know that the younger generation, the first, yeah, I mean, they don't even have to be young to be eighth grade or whatever. But what happens when they come to school and they're tired and
Mhm.
still sleepy, don't want to do anything? What do you do to them then? What happens then? Are they still accepted of learning, or what? Or do you think go back and take a nap and then come back to class, or what do you do?
My kids?
Yeah, my kids,
I know.
my children, all God's children.
Okay, well, I mean, I make
You
sure we
know,
go
you
ahead
know those kids. Those kids come to where, I mean, in public school, because I
and.
taught public school.
Mhm,
They come to school. Sometimes they're tired, and so
mhm,
they want to take even though they have that breakfast, they
mhm,
still want to take a nap in the classroom.
mhm,
It's just natural. I mean,
mhm.
I probably did it. But
Yeah.
what do you do then?
Okay, so we do have moments where we're just like, okay, this was pretty intense. Eyes are looking a little glossy. Okay, let's
Mhm,
take a brain break. So we have weekly tasks. Everybody gets tasks for the week: passing papers, sharpening
mhm,
pencils, being over the brain breaks, and I have multiple activity sheets, and they pick from that. And we might play a game of Uno. We might play beanbag toss. We might have a drawing session. We
mhm,
get up and do exercise, and I try to break in the exercise every hour. Just
mhm.
stand up. It could be
Yeah.
jogging in place, doing some jumping jacks, and come on back and sit down. And of course,
Mhm.
I do have the goodies because the kids love the goodies, and I
Right,
do incorporate that in with the games and activities. But no nap time during class. they,
right, right.
they don't get to take a nap, but we can shake off the sleepiness because even I get sleepy
Right,
myself.
right,
Uh,
right.
but yeah, and when we do our classes, when we are in class, I might
Mhm.
say, let's take a 10-minute break. And at that time, if you want to go lie down on the couch, you may do so. Or if you want to go play, you may do that. But at the time, 10 minutes, once it's over, we come back to the table and we resume. So there are breaks there. And we do have, we go to the park and we exercise um, pretty much daily. Mhm.
Okay, so is the park close?
Yes, we go to all kinds of parks though.
Okay,
Well,
okay,
yeah, we're all over.
right. Y'all go. You do field trips with them and everything.
We do. And before COVID, I even had what is it where the guests come in? Like we had a nurse come in, we had a banker come in. So
Okay.
we've had people come in and it's uh, I can't I'm losing career day.
Career day,
We have
right.
career day, and we do the field trips. Uh, it was much easier to get those field trips in when the kids were younger, not tense. I've noticed that now that they're moving up in the grades, our free time is slowly slipping away, but I still try to make it a point to get a field trip or two in.
Right, right, right. So that's good for them. So
Hmm.
they
Right.
probably like that. They probably like
Hmm.
that.
Right.
So one person asked, let me see who this is. She wants to know what curriculum do you use?
Okay. I use Abeka. This is the Abeka language book for the that I use with the ladies. It tells you exactly what to say. It tells you how to teach it. They give visual aids. You have flashcards. It's I love it. So and I stand by it.
Right, right, right. I remember Rebecca, when my children were young and they used it in the daycare or pre.
Mhm.
It really wasn't daycare. It was a preschool. You know, they used
Mhm.
that. Cheryl Chambers wants. Wait, how it says, how do your children socialize with others? That's what
So
my,
earlier I mentioned that the children attend classes with CPC. Those are the Christian perspective classes.
mhm.
And that is where they have an opportunity to be taught by other teachers other than myself. And they have their school friends. So they pre-COVID, they did go to the birthday parties. They had the recess in the gym and the end of year parties and things like that. So they had an opportunity. It's an actual school, but the school is comprised of homeschool students,
Mhm.
and the teachers are parents, certified teachers who have opted to homeschool their kids, and now they teach at the homeschool. So it's like a private, I'd say it's like a private school, but homeschool students.
Right.
And it goes up through 12th grade,
Okay.
and you can get take any class that you would take on any campus.
Right. Right.
Mm.
So Cheryl Chambers said, do they get the opportunity to socialize with other kids, such as extracurricular activities, etc.?
That is something that we do on the side with the YMCA or I-9 sports, where they would play soccer, basketball, where they'll swim, but they have not done anything at the school, although the opportunities are there. We've just done our activities away from the school, and they usually fall on the weekend. And then we also have the church activities where they have the drill team, praise dance, and things like that, choir.
Ananda Stevens says, how can I create a classroom environment space at my house? So I guess it's time for you to show your material, right?
Okay. Okay. All right. So, Natalie, let me tell you, I started at my kitchen table. So, no one should feel pressured to have a classroom space. And my classroom evolved. It did not start the way it is today. It had one bookcase. Once I moved from the kitchen table to the game room, there was one bookcase. Then I went to two bookcases, did three bookcases. Like the materials just continued to grow. Then I had aunts who knew teachers who were retiring and who wanted to give me resources. And I ended up with swiveling bookcases and just all kinds of supplies. So it's nothing that I can say I just put together on my own, because I had a lot of help from a lot of people donating books and supplies and resources and things like that. So I would say first, get your table area. If you're considering moving from your kitchen table and setting up a space, first find that space. Is it going to be the old TV room? Is it going to be the dining room? What will it be? And your spaces can be multifunctional. Let's say your dining room cannot just completely be the classroom because you still have to eat there. Well, who says you can't have the ABC circling around the room at your dining room table? Okay. And just have things in place, maybe your school supply kit that travels with you to the table, and when the kids see that, they know, okay, it's school time, it's not dinner time, it's not breakfast time, mom put this kit here, it's time for us to learn. So I'd say find your space And then from there, just slowly start incorporating items into the space that you normally see in the classroom. So I have my dry erase board here, and basic things that we've always used: our alphabets, which I keep up at all times, just because you can use it for so many things with your filing system. We have our magnetic calendar here. I have the handwriting resources on the ceiling along with the planets. And this year, my school is a jungle theme. So I've actually decorated the ceiling, and we have the reading nook here where the kids can go read. And Miss Deborah, we talked about breaks. Sometimes I will stop class and set my timer for a few minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say, okay, go study your spelling list for 7 minutes. And that's a break from the table.
Right.
So that's just a quick view of the classroom. Can't be done in one day. Um, I say do it gradually because it's expensive. And um, me personally, I like to do a little bit at a time versus a whole lot.
Right. That's awesome. I mean, that is real awesome. So you got that set up for what grade level?
Oh, this is just middle and high school, elementary and middle school.
Right.
So I
So
just wanted
so
to
do
make it inviting and fun.
mm-hmm.
And so it's the jungles of the world. However, there's a lot more to it that I want the kids to add in through arts and crafts and studying. But like I said, time gets away from us because there are jungles on multiple continents that I like to touch on and let the kids create projects with. So just something for that we can all learn from. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Isn't it? Skyline said, "Can the dog go outside, please?" let, let me apologize because I have a 4-month-old puppy and I'm only here by myself. So right now, so but he stopped barking. I think he heard you. He said, "What grade level are your kids on?"
okay, the girls are going to the fifth, and the fellas are going to the eighth.
Well,
So
are they on the 5th grade level or are they on the 3rd grade level? Are they higher?
well, they, I think they're on grade level.
They on
I,
grade level?
yeah, I think they're on grade level.
Hmm.
I just I really can't say if they're
So
higher. I think they're very bright students. We
right,
invest in them. And I told them when I invest, I expect a return. Like
hmm,
nobody invests without a return. And
right,
they know my expectations. I think they do an exceptional job. They're kids. I mean, we have our kid moments. We have our days where
right,
like what's happening, but it's good.
right. Let me
Mhm.
see. She said, are the grade level 2 grades ahead of their current standard grade level? And you just answered that question.
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if Rebecca it I I understand the question in the sense of I know in the public education system now, like a second grader might be doing fourth grade work,
Hmm.
as it was explained to me by some of my friends who are teachers. So I'm going to say they're learning on grade level.
Hmm. So do you have like your friends who are educators come
Mhm.
in and test them or what?
No, I've never had anyone test them. Cheryl sent me resources on
Hmm.
reading, on how to test them for that to make sure they were reading the correct number of words per minute. So
Right.
people donate those types of resources to me. We test weekly with the ABECA curriculum with math and spelling and language, whatever the subject is. And then at the end of the year, I administer the Stanford 10 test just to make sure that the kids are where they should be and to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do because I never want to get to the point where I'm not servicing the
Right.
kids
Yeah, right.
appropriately.
Right. Exactly. Ms. Griffin also wants to know, I was told children should be minimum of 2 grades. level ahead in order not to struggle. She
Okay.
also said, what about standard testing? How does the test to make sure they are academically where they should be? So do they take STAR tests and everything?
They do not take the STAR test. We do the Stanford 10 test, and I do that through Abeka, and I mail that to them. They grade it, and they send me the results back.
Results back. And
So,
they tell you if they're mastered and whatever, right?
right. They post everything. Everybody's on grade. Everyone's doing well. They have some areas where they do um they're well above their grade level, and then somewhere they're right on target where they should be, but
Mhm.
everyone is where they should be.
Someone says, Miss Griffin also says, so you have a beautiful classroom, and which you really do. Yeah, that
Thank
is.
you, Miss Shalonda.
Um, sure. Oh, yes, she is phenomenal. And so, different mentor says, Candace, how did you organize each student's individual work area supplies?
Okay, oh, that's a great question.
Yes.
So each student has their own seat, and it's color coded. So I use the Aussie pouch. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but on the back of everyone's chair, there's an Aussie pouch. I want to make sure I'm showing it correctly.
Mhm.
And there's the pencil case, there are folders, binder ring papers,
Mhm.
and whatever you need to start your day. So there's no excuse. It's right on the back of your seat. You don't have to get up and walk across the class to get paper. It's right there. We all have one. I have one for my seat. And like I said, everything's color coded. So if you're in the blue seat, your folder's blue, your pencil case is blue, all your supplies are blue. So when everything's on the table, we know who's using the blue scissors, who left what out, all of that. And I also wanted to talk to you all about a way to, as we talk about organizing,
Right.
I keep their papers in binder ring
Mhm.
um, sheet protectors with the binder ring clips. And these are basic tools that we may use every day. Multiplication facts, division facts, Bible verses, poems, whatever I need them to memorize is right there on the seat. And if I say, okay, I need you to copy, this is because they know their facts now, but I need you to copy multiplication tables 3 and 4. All they have to do is reach on the back of their seat, pull it out, and begin copying. So
Right.
everything is right there. And as they age, the information changes. So when they were younger, it was addition and subtraction facts. It
Mhm.
was the sight words that they needed to memorize, things like that. So you just change it out. And this is also something that's portable. You can
Mhm.
take it to the car, because when we head to class, um, when we go to the off-campus classes, I'm listening to the spelling list that need to be reviewed. I'm listening to the poems that need to be reviewed. So whatever needs to be learned is in this paper, and it's on their seats, and they can take it with them in the car as
Oh,
well.
cool. That'll work. And you know what? I noticed that, when you're teaching a child your multiplication facts or any facts, really, social study with anything, that when you're in the car and you driving and being receptive of them and talk to them about it, and they respond to you, it's good,
Mhm.
because now they know that I have to learn it all the time. I can learn anywhere.
Mhm. Right.
Riding, driving, my
Mhm.
mom driving or whatever. I can learn anywhere, and they
Right.
should know that. They should know that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Natalie says, "Could you could you decorate my classroom? It's very expensive." I know, right, Natalie? Teachers pay
Sure,
a lot for these classrooms.
sure, Natalie. I'll give you my contact information.
Cheryl Chambers said, "Do you ever have a problem with discipline or someone not motivated on a particular day?"
Absolutely. Um,
So what do you do, children who are not disciplined? I mean, which is your own.
well, well, I'll just say that we use a method similar to that of the nuns, and I always keep my wooden ruler next to me.
Big Mike.
Okay. Okay, but seriously, motivation and things like that, absolutely. I mean, my kids are great kids, but they're still kids.
Right, kids gonna be
And I
kids.
won't I won't call anyone out specifically because they'll probably come back and watch this show. But there is one individual who 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 feels like he or she, I can't say whether it's which one because they'll know, he or she, they feel like they don't excel in math.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a defeatist attitude. When you go in defeated, chances are you'll be defeated.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to deal with that because that's an issue. I mean,
Right,
it's an issue. And so yes, we have those issues, and we have some motivators in the
right,
house.
right. And you know, math is not a easy subject.
Hmm.
I used to always say you either know it or you don't. You either want to learn it or
Hmm.
you don't want to learn it. So,
Hmm.
but you know, it's a way that you can look on YouTube. And they have songs, whereas they
Right.
have the math and
Hmm.
rap songs, and they have
Hmm.
math, and so they're motivated by that, and it
Hmm.
helps them a whole lot. So,
Hmm.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
especially with those multiplication facts,
Oh
and
yeah. Mm.
yeah, that's cool. Cheryl Chambers also wants to know. Oh, she said yes. I'm certain can use some of your decorating expertise.
All right.
Um, Natalie says they get stuck. They get the stick. Yeah, old school ruler. Somebody said tap those knuckles. Yeah, and at home. Homeschool. Yes. So, do you plan on homeschooling your children all the way through high school?
I don't know. I was asking myself that last night while I was ordering the curriculum for the kids because, like I said, if I feel like I will do the kids a disservice, I send them off. So right now, everyone takes history, science, and an intensive writing class off campus from me. Now, I still teach grammar and phonics because I feel like that's fundamental. So they get a double dose of that. I do math, I do spelling, I do reading, the language. But the science and history, that's where they go away. And as my fellas move up in their math, which I did very well with when I was in high school, I went up through calculus. But doing calculus and teaching calculus, those are two different things. So I'm monitoring myself as we move up in math. And I'm going to honestly tell myself, look, okay, this might need to be your last year if we get to that.
Mhm.
And I'll send them off to take those classes.
So, and I guess you order your material. Is that how you get your material to teach the children?
I
If
ordered material. Yes, ma'am.
okay,
Sorry.
go ahead. No, I'm finished.
I ordered the materials from Abeka, and then I also used the homeschool store, which is here in Houston. There are a couple of homeschool stores that I go to, but the one that I favor is called the Homeschool Store
Mm-hmm.
off of 249 in the Willowbrook Mall area.
Hmm.
And they have lots of resources there. You can get the resources, used books, as well as new, all types of classroom decor. You name it, it's there. And they carry a multitude of curriculums. They just don't favor one.
So, in your view, are there or is there any drawbacks in homeschooling?
For me, I would say that separation of mom and teacher, because I feel like I give so much at the table when we're in the classroom that once I step away, I really don't want to assist you. I'm just keeping it real. But I struggled with that last year because really when it comes to the math, even though I feel like I'm doing an awesome job teaching it and you should be catching it, obviously,
Hmm.
everybody doesn't catch at the same speed or rate. So I definitely have to go back. That's just something that I feel is a drawback for me. But the kids do, I think they like it. I feel like they have the best of both worlds because they go off campus and they've been with these kids since the third grade. So they have these relationships with the teachers and with their peers, plus here, um, other than separating mom from teacher,
Right.
say.
Well, Candace, as you may know, and I told you, I said this earlier, I'm a retired educator.
Mm,
And, like I know anybody who's in education knows that when their child goes to school,
mm,
whether it's homeschool or public or private school, and they come home and you're teaching them some subject like math or reading,
mm,
uh, what they should know, and they can't get it, how frustrated we get.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
Because we think as an educator
mhm.
they should know
Right.
all these things. How
Mhm.
does that come over on you?
Well, I'm going to go back to the math because that's really the area. It was the math issue where that came up constantly. And I was extremely frustrated for a couple of weeks. And I just had to have a talk with myself and say,
Right,
really what happens in a formal school setting is kids will go to math for an hour and a half. They'll
right.
finish their school day, and then some will go home and then go to tutoring.
Hmm.
So I had to tell myself, well, if my kid has to go to tutoring, even if it's me as the tutor, then I need to be willing to be that tutor.
Right.
Right. So I think that's where my struggle was because I wanted to be off. See,
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, I've taught.
Right. You,
It's
you did. I
this.
know.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Should have called that earlier. You should. But but that's the educator in us. That's
Hmm.
that's what we are, and we just get frustrated, you
Right.
know. So we do calm down. We do calm
Hmm.
down,
Hmm.
but then we realize now, look, this child just don't understand.
Hmm. Hmm.
What we need to do? Reteach,
Hmm.
reteach, reteach.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's where we get frustrated when we have to reteach.
Reteach, reteach. You are
Yeah, yeah.
right.
So let's see what Deborah Mental says. Deborah said, oh, she said, do you teach art and instrumental music?
I did when they were in pre-K 4. We have the triangle and the wooden sticks and the little recorder. but,
Would you stop
but
that?
but
We got
uh,
to first grade.
no, I do not. However, two of my kids the girls have expressed interest in music. So one wants to play the violin and the other wants to play the flute. And so we're going to check into that for this school year. And CPC does offer music classes. So that's something they could do while they're
Now,
on
what is CPC?
Christian perspective classes.
Okay,
That's
okay,
where the kids go.
okay. Uh, I don't even know how to say her name, but she said her favorite teacher. Oh, she was talking about you. Your favorite teacher was Miss Alice Bryson, and she did not play at all.
Yeah, she was one of my favorite middle school.
Candace decorates the daycare and learning centers every year.
Mhm.
So she says, I love the flexibility of homeschool because the subjects that a person is not competent in can be outsourced.
Mhm. Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. And that's true.
Subjects that the parents is not competent in can be outsourced to the most competent educator.
Hmm.
Yes. Candace, you are awesome. You are awesome and amazing. And
Thank you, Miss Yolanda. Thank you.
what if a child has learning disabilities? That's a good one.
I haven't faced that in with my kids, so I really
Don't know.
don't know how I would
Excuse me.
approach it. But I know that I would approach it and find the way to meet their needs. I just haven't had to personally deal with it. Although I do think one has ADHD, but I'm not going to let that person take that label.
I'm sorry, Candace. I laughed because I wasn't laughing at what you were saying, I'm looking at this next person who said, Miss Jones, can you sing a verse of No Match? I'm trying to find out who is it.
I believe that's Elliston Rogers.
Oh, that's Alice. Oh, boy. No, I'll talk to you later. That was years ago when I used to sing the song No Match. And so that's what he's speaking of. I love you, Elsa. Okay, so another question is, do you get any negative comments when people find out that you are homeschooling your children, or are they supportive?
For the most part, now I would say the majority are supportive, but in the early years, oh my goodness, it was a no. Not from everyone. I had a few that just rode my back and told me I needed to put them in school and I wasn't doing the right thing. And
Really?
oh yes, and how do you know? Oh yes, and I just stared
Wow.
down. One of the things I will tell anyone who's homeschooling is to study like your students study, and just don't wake up and say, "Okay, we're going to learn this today," and you haven't read and studied. So I actually prepare my lesson
Wow.
plans a week in advance, and my favorite lesson plan book is the Everything book.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I use it is because I have all of these different preps,
Okay.
and I fill up
The
all
rest
of the
of it?
rectangles.
Okay.
I fill up all of it. So the left side is for the boys, the right side is for the girls. And I go through, I write my lesson. I have my deadline is Friday for myself to have my lesson plans done by the Friday before the next week starts. And to be honest with you, the only thing that I really have to study is the math for the fellas,
Right.
because everything else, the grammar and all of that, it really comes.
So, question: how do you break your subjects up? Do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday? I'll do math and ELA, and Tuesday and Thursday I'll do science and social studies. Is that how you do that?
Every
Or what?
day is the same.
Every
Every
day
day.
you teach
Mhm.
all the subjects.
All
Wow.
subjects every day. So this is my old lesson plan book. Just how I fill it in, and I have post-it notes to myself. I actually highlight to let myself know when the test days are,
Mhm.
because you can get lost in all of,
Right.
because it's 2 pages. So
Right.
anything that's graded or that I have to test, I highlight that number to remind me that that's a test day, for because I just need to make sure I stay on top of it. And once you, like I said, the first few weeks, I feel myself a little stressed out, but once I get my footing, it just flows.
I'm just wondering about high school and
Mhm.
the graduation part of it. How would the child graduate? Would they graduate from a homeschool, or would they go to? Or would you put them in 12th grade somewhere, public or private school, and they graduate from that school? How would that?
So So with CPC, they have a graduating class. They
Okay.
have graduation every year. They have prom. They have the graduating class. They do the senior activities. They do the school photos. It's just a very small school, but they do everything that the other schools do, minus the sports. Now you can play sports through other homeschool associations, but the one we attend does not have
Mhm.
sports.
Okay.
So.
So Deborah Mentor says, is it possible to home online?
Yes, you can do the homeschooling online. Becca actually has an online academy. I personally just like that personal touch.
Mm.
It could be that control side in me, but I love knowing exactly what they're doing. I don't have to wonder what's happening or what they should know, because I'm actually giving it to them. So when they act like they don't know, I'm like, oh no, you know, because I taught it to you.
Right. Right.
So, and if it's online, I wouldn't pay as much attention. I wouldn't be as hands-on.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Cheryl Chambers said, would you incorporate foreign language maybe in high school?
Yes, we're actually, the kids have, from the beginning, have had Spanish, and we've had multiple Spanish teachers. I had a cousin come over, and she's fluent in Spanish. She would come over once a week. This is when they were much younger. She did Spanish. And I had a couple of cousins work with the kids in Spanish, and we used Duolingo regularly. This past school year for middle school, because my boys needed 2 years of middle school Spanish, when COVID hit, the homeschool association attendance dropped where we attend. So the Spanish class didn't make. Well, my husband stepped up and he taught Spanish
Awesome.
once a week to all the kids. And this year, thankful, I'm so grateful, the Spanish class made. So everyone is going to be taking Spanish.
Mhm.
But he did an awesome job with the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great, great.
Mhm.
And so they do get a grade for that, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Hmm.
That'll work.
Yeah.
That would take them. That would take them a long way. You
Right.
know,
Yes.
that would work. So, do your children ever ask you? I know they have to. Do they ever ask you why they don't go to public or private school?
So we talked about it. I don't know if they had to ask. We just talked about it. I feel like if I didn't do the Christian perspective classes and they weren't going off, I feel like they probably would have asked, but they just kind of know like this is what it is.
Hmm.
And it was gradual. So, and I have to tell you, when the boys first went, they only took one class that was third grade. One, my youngest son, he was like, I don't want to go. You're my teacher. I don't want another teacher. And I was thinking that's exactly why you need to go. And once he got in and saw, he enjoyed it. And then the next year we did two classes, then three classes. So now they're to the point where they're full Mondays and Wednesdays is twice a week, from 8:30 to 3:30 all day.
Hmm.
So no, I don't think they're asking. I don't think they've ever asked me about public school because they've had a chance to go to school. That's their
Hmm.
school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And Miss Griffin also asks, Candace, you are ahead of your time. Your children are so blessed.
Thank you, Miss Griffin.
And Miss Griffin, hmm, I'm talking to Cheryl. Okay. Okay, Cheryl Chambers said, that is so cool. I'm so peacock proud of you and honeymoon happy.
Thank you, girl.
So do you think that is beneficial for all families with children to at least homeschool their children once?
No, I
I mean,
feel like.
I mean, not to cut you off.
Mhm,
They had the opportunity to homeschool their children
mhm,
during the pandemic.
mhm,
They had to do it.
mhm, mhm,
A lot of parents didn't do that.
mhm,
A lot of parents just played around. I'm
mhm,
not saying all parents. I'm just saying some parents.
mhm,
Now they're going back into the school 100%,
mhm,
and so a lot of children have missed out a grade.
mhm,
They
mhm,
they were moved to another grade, and
mhm.
you couldn't retain them. They couldn't retain
Right.
them in school. They had to move on because it's not the children's fault that all this stuff happened.
Right.
It's not the parents' fault.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
So do you think that by them being out of school that whole year, should they go back to school or should they keep them out another year and try to at least homeschool them for where they left off at?
Well, like you said, a lot of parents didn't take it serious. Not a lot. I'd
Right.
say some parents who didn't
Some
take it,
parents, yeah.
and they allowed the child to fall by the wayside. I
Mhm,
think this COVID gave parents an opportunity to see what their kids are like during the day,
mhm.
because some parents were in denial, and
Right.
it gave them a greater appreciation for
Of the
the teachers,
Yeah.
uh, and made them realize that school is public education is not the 8-hour daycare center, that it serves a purpose and it
Thank you
is
for saying
to
that.
learn.
Thank you for saying that.
Right. So I just feel like it's just very hard. don't think that anyone should homeschool their kids if their heart's not in it, because if your heart's not in something, then you won't excel at it, and you want your kids to excel when it comes to education. So if you give them half-hearted teaching, then what do you think's going to come out
Right. Thank you
of
for
the child?
you,
So
like you said, there were parents that thought that the 8 hours for them having their kids there was daycare,
mhm,
and I know that for a fact because the parent told me that. Thank you,
mhm,
thank you for my child. 'Cause they were in daycare, or if if you call me, I'm not going to answer because this
mhm,
you need to take care of what's going on.
mhm,
That's what they told me, and I'm like, this your child.
mhm. Right.
Because if the school called me about my child, they
Mhm.
they couldn't even have to hang up. They didn't have to hang up the phone because I was at that school.
Right.
I took off my jobs to go check on
Mhm,
my, but
mhm,
that's me. That's a parent in me. But I believe in education, and I believe that we have to reach our children where they are.
mhm.
Every child's not on the same level,
Right.
and by you doing what you do, it's a great job. It's a difficult job.
Right.
But thanks for doing what you do to help your children to excel
Thank
in life.
thank
So
you.
with that being said, and the clock is ticking and it's getting around to the time for us to go off the air, what would you leave the parents about homeschooling their children, and why you think it's a great idea, and why you think some kids need to be in school,
Mhm.
in school learning?
Yeah, I think you have to find that balance. There has to be a parent-child balance. And if you don't have that balance and you know your child, for whatever reason, is not going to listen and receive your instruction, you should send them to school. And there are parents who want to homeschool, they have that desire, but the child is not receptive to them as the teacher. And I can imagine that being heartbreaking, because when you're homeschooling your child, you're giving of yourself. Like, this is a gift you're giving to your kids that will stay with them forever. And to for a parent to want to do that and cannot because the child doesn't want that from them, I can understand that being heartbreaking. But I do feel like you, it homeschooling is not, it's just not for everyone. You need to know if it's for you and if it's not. So, in public education, there's still some phenomenal teachers. I know great teachers in public education. Everyone's not bad in public education, so you can still get a good quality education. And
Everybody
as the
out there for just a paycheck.
right, and
Yeah,
parents do their part as well, because the homework and the coaching comes with the parents.
right.
You have to, all the teachers do, or they just give you a taste, and then the parents have to put in the work to finish it up.
Right, right. And that is so well said. And I thank you for that because, like we said earlier, I think that teachers need to do everything,
Right.
but
Yeah,
it needs
it's
to
not
be a very,
possible.
yeah, relationship, and
Mhm.
work together, you know,
Right,
got to
right.
work together. So, you know, and when I was when I was teaching, if I sent the child home with homework and
Mhm,
brought it back the next day, I looked at it, but I didn't
mhm,
get a grade for it because I
mm,
know the parents are doing the homework.
mm,
You know that. So now I'm going to test you on this to see
mhm.
whether or not you understand what I gave you.
Right.
If you don't, now I have to go back and
Mhm, mm,
so yeah, it's a parent teacher thing,
mhm, mhm.
right? I
Right.
appreciate your classroom is awesome.
Thank
Uh, Everybody just raved over it, and I'm so glad that I met you. I want to thank Cheryl Chambers for
Me
introducing me to
too.
you. Yeah, and I want to thank Ellen for having you.
Me too. I just really appreciate the opportunity, Miss Deborah. Thank you for having me,
Yes,
and
I am.
I just appreciate it.
I have to have a part two of this.
Yeah, let me
So,
know.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you back and say, okay, so how are these children doing? Are they doing what they need to do?
Okay.
Or to even help the parents out there to see, what they need to do. You have the Becca program, the curriculum here, that the ISC have. I don't know what curriculum they're on, but it's not Becca. I know it's not. But so there's two different curriculums, but they all mean the same thing.
Right.
And they all come to one group. So we need to work, and we need to help these children. We need, because we know right now, at today, August the 3rd, 2021, these kids need help. And in order for them to need that, it's going to take people like you, people like the educators, to move them on to that next level.
Right.
Gracefully.
Right.
And so, and I'm just praying for these kids to be successful in school, because that's what they need.
Right. They need guidance. They need
the guidance.
And we just want the kids to be the best they can be.
Right. And homeschool is good. And I don't knock homeschool, because I know it's good. I know with some, because I had some friends who were homeschooling their kids. But to be honest with you, it wasn't in the Black community. It was the Caucasian community, and that homeschooling their kids way before we were. So, so that's a good deal. That's a good deal. So we need to get it together, and I'll leave it alone. Send it back to public. I'll send them back to the public school. Okay, Candace, I appreciate you, baby girl, and Cheryl Chambers said maybe a part two with the talking about her business side, decorating classroom part. Oh, I forgot about you.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that before we get off.
So my business is Personalized Creations by Christine, and you name it, I can do it. I love to do custom work, handcrafted items, chalkboard art, whatever you need to enhance your classroom. You can't find my decorations at Party City because it's one of a kind. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm your person. And as we near the start of school, I'm available to decorate classrooms. I've worked with schools. I worked with an elementary school and carried out multiple themes throughout the entire school, just making the circle around the school with the theme. So the sky's the limit. So.
And that's your business, right? Personalized creation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm on my JOB, girl.
Right. You can check out my work on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, let's see. This is it right here.
Yes.
Okay, and you said, and Facebook also?
Correct.
Okay, let's see. There we go.
Yep.
Tell me that young man on her job.
Deborah, thank you, girl. We were talking so much, I forgot to mention
it. Girl, it was so interesting. I forgot about all your decoration and all that. I forgot about all that, your business. But don't worry, Cheryl was going to tell me about it. So with that being said, I want to thank my audience for coming on tonight, for all the questions y'all gave us, and everything was great. And I appreciate y'all. You guys always supporting me. And so check us out next week. I think I might be talking about Black-owned businesses. I don't remember bringing you back on. And so so check me out next week. So if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. God bless you. God keep you is my word.
All right. Good night. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Miss
Bye. Thank you, love.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.